Let me just start by saying I want to thank all of Kevin, Mike and Kenny and all the local municipal leaders for the terrific amount of communication and cooperation we had during last week's event. I think that, the media has coined a phrase this as probably the worst storm that Putnam County has ever seen. I think many of us sort of are still stunned by the impact. We still have a lot to be grateful for. Certainly the fact that this was not a rain event and that it was just isolated to wind certainly helped us in the damage that was done in Putnam County. We were very, very lucky that no lives were lost. With that said, we do have a tremendous amount of property damage, and a lot of our constituents have a lot of concerns about where they go from here. And so it's very important that we keep the lines of communication open. It's very important that we keep on the same page, which is why I wanted to do this FEMA initial meeting this way. I wanted to make sure that we all heard the same information at the same time from the same people, because as this process rolls out, there's going to be a lot of questions out there from our constituents, from the local leaders, and we want to make sure that we're all in sync with each other. So with that, I'd like to introduce our two FEMA reps. We have Elaine E.K., who is the Community Relations Manager for Putnam County. This is the third time she's been to Putnam County to assist in its disaster.
New York.
To New York, okay. First time in Putnam.
Yeah.
Binghamton, and where else were you saying you would?
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
Okay, but we're welcoming you to Putnam County.
Yeah.
And we have Kevin Hannes, who is the branch director for the Hudson River Valley region. He, I should mention, Elaine is from Seattle, and Kevin Hannes is from Dallas, and this is his first time in 15 years visiting New York and Putnam County. And they're here with us to facilitate the FEMA recovery rollout. So with that, I'll introduce Kevin. You're going to speak first?
Okay. Sure. What the heck? Can anyone hear me? Okay. Or do I need the mic for that? Are we good? Good? All right. Thanks. If I stand behind the podium as a FEMA guy, you become a target. So I just want to make sure that we're all good. First and foremost, we pray for your citizens and your speedy recovery from this. Hearing the reports of what has been going on, you all should be very proud of the effort that you have done thus far in getting through this event and then on towards recovery. And so we're very much thankful as Americans and also here to support your efforts. Thank you, ma'am, for the introduction and allowing us to really be here to answer some questions and tell you what we're doing to support the state of New York and the citizens of New York. Today we have some teams in the field that will be doing our damage assessments for individual assistance, which is for that individual and taking a look at the number of homes that were impacted, whether they were destroyed, had major damage, minor damage. It kind of goes that gambit of damage. We'll be collecting that assessment. So we're going out with your local officials, some state officials, to collect that. That information will be gathered up. It'll be processed back down to Manhattan at our initial operating facility. The governor will be briefed on it. He will then make a request to the FEMA to have or not to have Putnam County added on for individual assistance. At the same time, we're looking at what we call our public assistance program, which is really about infrastructure. It's looking at the schools, the roads, working with any cooperative utility companies that you have here in New York, collecting all that damage that is kind of the responsibility of the state and local government, so we can get assessments of that. Again, same process, data is collected up, sent down to Manhattan to our initial operating facility, and again a request is made from the state to FEMA to potentially add on Putnam County for public assistance or that infrastructure assistance. That process takes a couple of days. We'll be doing assessments today, doing the data collection tonight, tomorrow, and those requests will go on, and then we usually get word fairly quickly back whether the county has been added or not. So So that's kind of the process that we're going through right now. What can you do to help yourselves? What can you do to help your citizens? Keep them informed as far as the citizens. Let's talk about the people first because that's what's most important. Keep them informed. We're going to have our community relations individuals assigned to each of your municipalities to help answer questions about should I register, should I not register, what's available for FEMA funding. If we're declared, we can help answer some of those questions, and we'll have those experts available for you to think. And if they can't answer the question, then they can come back to my staff, and if I can't answer the question, then I go back to the JFO. But our goal to you, well, let's just put it bluntly. I was told I have to answer any mayor, county executive, elected officials call in 15 minutes or less. So,
cool.
Not with an answer, but I got to answer the phone, so I can get back to you. So we're going to be very responsive to your needs and to your questions. So that's one of the services that we're providing to you, is having those community relations. Kevin Reed in the back has been with you all here in Putnam County since the start of the storm. He is my rep here for overall awareness here in Putnam County. And so if you have questions, if he can't answer them, he's got my direct line. He'll get a hold of me and we'll get you the answer back. So it's about assessment right now. It's about understanding what the level of damage was here in the county. You get that information to the right leadership there at the state so that they can make the request on your behalf to have the county added. I want to take a deep breath because I probably said some stuff that's initiated some questions. So for the elected officials or leadership here in Putnam County, any quick questions, concerns? Yes, ma'am.
Does the county or does FEMA have an assessment deadline where you need this information? I'm just having a hard
I need it
time.
tomorrow. No, it's when we get it. And let me make this real clear. If you look through the regulations with FEMA, the CFR 44, talk about a level of damage required for the county needs to meet a certain threshold. Please don't stop when you hit that number, if you hit that number. Keep going. We need the full picture of what it is. So, is it better to try to rush through it and get it done and miss some stuff and then be on that borderline? Or is it better to take an extra few hours or a day and let's do a complete assessment? So I'd rather have them go get a full assessment of the county and not rush through it so that we can get the best information to the state leadership to make a decision. Does that answer your question?
It does. And that includes PA and IA.
PA and IA. Don't say, oh, we counted 50 houses, somebody told me that was good. Don't do that. Count 1,000 houses. Another question. Oh, I cannot be that good. Yes, ma'am.
From the business community, what is, are business communities eligible for individual assistance?
No, the business communities are not eligible for that. Those would be part of an SBA, a Small Business Administration declaration. And to be honest with you, I don't know if that has been declared yet or not. We will find out and get back to you on that. But that would fall under the Small Business Administration for local business owners. Y'all got to have some questions. Y'all been through this enough. I mean, yes, ma'am.
So if there's no declaration for Putnam County, there's no additional funding?
So you want to talk worst case?
Yes.
Okay. There's no funding?
There's no funding, that's it. We have to have declaration for people to apply.
Yes.
Bruce, do you want to describe the PDA?
What happens with the storm? Do you add the two together?
Oh, the impending storm?
Right.
The nor'easter coming in, I guess that's what y'all call it. I would ask that you try to, right now, keep the costs separate. The incident period, I don't know if it has been closed. I will find out today within minutes and get that word back to you. I would keep track of them as separate as you can, so if you stand up your EOC, kind of make a cut, track them both, but understand what's going on with this particular event, just to be safe. But I can't answer it because I don't know if the incident period has been closed. We've asked the question. I'm sure there's discussions going on with the governor and the federal coordinating officer, Mike Byrne, FEMA headquarters, trying to determine how they're going to handle this situation. Yes, sir.
The storm damage assessments that each municipality is conducting,
Yes.
as far as cost estimates as to what our costs were as a result of the storm, when when should that information gathering be delivered back to either the county or to FEMA to be included in your threshold, that number?
Today.
Today?
We should have assistance teams between today and tomorrow visiting your community. They should be in contact with somebody in your community to gather that information.
Okay, once that information gathering process has been completed, then your office is going to take it back to the city, to New York?
Right, and that's where our leadership is at.
And the determination will be made at that point?
No, the determination is made then by the governor based on the information that he has, whether he's going to ask for Putnam County to be added, and he puts a formal request into the federal coordinating officer, and then that goes up to Washington D.C. for approval or denial.
And how long do you anticipate that to take?
It could take hours, it could take a couple of days. All depends on the level of the.
By the end of the week, we may have declaration?
Emphasis on may, have an answer.
Okay.
I didn't say declaration, I said an answer.
And Kevin, if I can just jump
Yes.
in here. Kenny, that was the meeting we had the other day with all the supervisors, and then we had a subsequent meeting with all the superintendents of schools. So your team met this morning with Tom Ryan at 8 o'clock. They went through, and they're actually out in the field now,
Yes.
going to all the locations that were identified either by us, the school, or any of the individual municipalities. So that they're in the process of doing that right now.
And I'm sorry, that $340,000 number that I was given is an aggregate amount throughout the county, all the towns and villages and the county, that's that number?
That's a number.
That's the number
But
that...
don't stop. If y'all hit
No, I understand that, but we have to get to that
You got to get to that as a minimum.
as a minimum, okay. All right.
But just because it's the minimum doesn't mean it's good enough. So
All right.
go over it.
Okay, well, we're hoping to go over it. We probably will.
We gotta hope not. But I'm sure you will.
I'm sure we're gonna go over it.
Yeah, I'm sure you
But
will.
this isn't the deadline today. We have-
There's no deadline.
We have FEMA out there, they're gonna assess, I'm having a hard time getting some people on the riverfront because they're weekenders. FEMA is not.
You mean homes?
Yeah, FEMA is not.
Well, we don't know. We don't need to visit with an individual today. I mean, they're available. We're going to drive by and look at their homes.
Okay.
And our folks are trained to go by and drive by. If they see some in the yard, they may go talk with them.
That's great.
They can do drive-bys through the streets and get an
So if
estimate
they
of the
don't see the
impact.
home today, that's okay for the individual. There will be
The
time.
individual doesn't have to be at home for the assessment to be complete.
Okay.
And
Our
Kevin,
team
if
will
I
just do
can,
that.
Nancy, we have a list that was submitted to us for those homes
Right.
yesterday, and we've we've
But
relayed that over.
we just have, that list was just my list of what homes are on Hudson River Lane. It's not a list of the damage.
Right, but it
So-
gave them a location
Yeah,
to
so they'll go
to.
drive Hudson River Lane, and they'll
Sure.
start looking at the types of homes. You know, if it's a secondary home, and if it's, those all kind of come into the things, and then we look at insurance rate. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but they have access to all the information. As long as they have access to the streets, they'll be good.
I'm just getting so much of, what are we doing?
Right, so let's just talk about the what if, okay? I understand this is if Putnam County is declared for individual assistance, what happens? Okay? The word will be put out from the JFO. I'm sure the governor will put out a statement. We always try to give the county executives an opportunity to make the thing before FEMA puts out the word. As soon as the declaration is made, individuals who live here in Putnam County will be able to call our 1-800 number, 1-800-621-FEMA.
3362.
3362, and register online via the computer at www.disaster.gov.
Disaster assistance.
Disaster assistance.gov, they updated the website on it.
And also mobile telephone,
Yeah.
m.fema.gov.
m.fema.gov, and there's a FEMA app on your smartphone. You can register that way. We will coordinate with the local officials here to determine the site for a disaster recovery center. And we will establish that. It takes about 3 to 4 to 5 days to establish that disaster recovery center. You all get to pick the location. We come in and make sure it's safe, it's compliant with the federal standards. We open that up and individuals can come into there to register and get information from there. Once they register, they will be contacted by an inspector who will come by and actually do the home inspection. At that point, the homeowner has to be home. The inspector will come in and do an assessment of the home. That information is then transmitted back to through the FEMA system, and then assistance is provided based on that inspection. Individuals have to provide some supplemental information, such as their insurance and some other information to FEMA when they register. It's all punched into the system, and then assistance is provided to those individuals. When they have questions about that, that's when they can go to one of the disaster recovery centers. And they can go to any disaster recovery center. They're all alike. They all have the same access to all the information. But we'll have one here in Putnam County if individual assistance is declared. So they can go there to get questions answered. They can call on the 800 number and get that information as well.
Kevin, can I just clarify
Yes.
one thing? To my understanding, that the 344 that Kenny referenced just a moment ago is the cost associated with the municipal, the schools.
Correct. That is your public assistance infrastructure.
Right, not the individual piece. So if my house, the roof blew off, that doesn't contribute to
That doesn't
344.
contribute whatsoever.
Doesn't add to the.
Doesn't add to it at all. It's all public
It
infrastructure.
just stresses the importance of getting all the costs associated with the municipal costs,
Yeah.
the school costs, to be able to aggregate to that 344.
And sir, let me, here's the cost that you really need to be concerned about. Your emergency protective measures. Did you have local law enforcement? Did you operate in a shelter? Did you do, buy generators to keep polling stations open? Did you do anything to protect life and property? Track those costs. Your debris. What's your estimate of your debris that you have? We'll have our teams here are skilled in debris. They'll be able to get a good estimate of what your debris cost is. If you have any building damage, electric utilities, wastewater treatment plants, any of those types of things that had damage, roads, bridges, all that infrastructure, school buildings, all that, that's what we need to see, that's what we need to collect, and that's how we determine whether you exceeded the threshold needed to achieve a declaration. Yes, sir.
Is fuel for emergency generators included in it?
Fuel for emergency generators. No, your emergency generator time would be, but I believe the fuel is calculated in the equipment hours, but the folks who do that, when it comes time to write that project, will be able to work through that. But if you have separate fuel costs for running your generators that you purchased, make sure they have those receipts, because it all does get added in there at some point. I just can't tell you how much of it would be eligible depending on how the fuel was used or what equipment it was used on. Yes,
Sorry.
ma'am. That's okay, that's what I'm here for.
For the county, are we assessing emergency services costs? I know you guys met with them separately. Is that something that they're going to report to you, or did we gather that there was, rescue time on the waterfront, pulling people out of homes?
Anything that was done at a county level that I have visibility and accountability for is being captured.
Okay.
The reason we reached out to the municipalities and the superintendents was to, because I don't know what happened in Patterson or Phillipstown, I do know, but I don't know what the costs are, I don't know who kept track of them. So that was when we reached out, we want to aggregate all of those costs and identify them.
So you'll have the emergency response costs from the
Yeah,
fire department?
yeah, well, we have that. We have all the county sheriff departments, so when they went out there and got them out of the houses, that cost we've got.
Okay.
We've aggregated all of our costs, we have that completed already.
Yes, ma'am.
How detailed do we have to be with the original assessment? Like I have a one-page, sheet that, kind of just summarizes the assessments. But as far as our highway, like we have highway overtime, we're going to have highway.
You're just going to want to take a quick look at if you have some supplemental.
An estimate of like 80,000.
It all depends on, yes and no. It all depends. I mean, if you have a lot of extensive, what we call permanent work, where it's that roads, it's buildings and stuff, where 80,000 is not a substantial percentage of your damage, probably they'll go with a solid estimate. They'll probably ask you a few questions about your overtime policy and make sure that there's no straight time associated with those costs. They may just ask you a question. Now, if in your area, your emergency protective measures, because you did have a lot of permanent damage, but you had a lot of debris and a lot of response, life-saving, life stuff, they may ask a few more deeper questions to ensure that we got a solid answer. And here's the reason we do that, folks. It's taxpayer money. It's our money, right? We have a fiduciary responsibility to you, the taxpayer, to ensure that we're doing things right. So we want to make sure we do our due diligence. I expect that you expect that of us as federal employees to be mindful of your precious tax dollars and that we're doing it the right way. But we will do everything within inside the law, regulations, and our policies to get you the assistance you need to recover from this event. Does that help? Huh? Yes, sir.
And I wasn't trying to make light of the 344 number.
No, I understand.
When I said that I hope we reach it, what I meant is that if we don't get to it, we get nothing, correct?
Correct.
All right, so it's important that we, all of us, include everything in there. Yeah, make sure that.
I think we'll get there, Ken. I think we're going to get there.
All right.
I do. I think just on an initial first blush at the amount of man-hours that it took for us to get our 115 roads open last week so that NYSEG and Central Hudson could get in and get us back up, that in itself, you know, that's a big chunk of change.
Right,
that's a big
now let me address something because I don't know what type of fiscal year you all run on. Is it calendar? So we're in the fourth quarter. And I don't care how good the economy is where you're at or how bad, if it's bad,
is it good somewhere?
I'm not saying, but I understand this. So what we're going to do is if you are declared, make sure you guys get that. That was an if. That we're going to come quickly. I'm already working with the state to try to get your applicant briefings, here shortly, followed by kickoff. But we want to concentrate on your category A, which is debris, and your category B, which is emergency protective measures. And we want to get those quickly because really those are receipts. Those are easy to do, so we can get some funds back into the county because those bills for that overtime and stuff are coming due now.
Right.
We want to get those funds back in. So if you are declared, we will come as quickly as we can with the state to start that process to do the category A, debris, category B, emergency protective measures. And then we have some time to look at that permanent work as it goes on, whether it's buildings and those types of stuff. That's going to take a lot of estimates. But we really want to focus on getting your emergency protective measures and your debris taken care of within, days, weeks of your declaration. Is the push that the direction I've been given from the minister in a few days is to do that as quickly as possible. Yes, sir.
It's the category C I'm interested in. We have one generator that was taken out, a temporary generator to replace it.
Category C for roads?
No, for replacement of the generator. Backup generator that was at a location that got wiped out. We put in one of our.
That's a category B expense.
Oh, that's B?
That'd probably be a B. What was it attached to?
Attached to one of our facilities.
Yes, it's probably going to be considered category B expense initially.
Because we're going out as procuring now, so the incident might have closed. We're buying materials to do replacements.
Well, that may be in a different category. That may be in insurance. So don't worry about what category it's in. Let the assessment teams worry about that.
With repairs and replacement.
Yeah, do what you need to do. What you would do. If you would do that, don't wait for federal funds or the impetus for federal funds to do what you need to do to protect your community.
Just keep it to it.
Just do what you got to do, and then if you get the declaration, more better. If you don't, you've done the right thing. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any chance we qualify for one but not the other?
There's always a chance.
What would be the determination between them?
I don't know, the two different assessments and two different programs.
The municipal threshold of 344, how do they assess for the IA?
That does not include it in the IA whatsoever.
How is that determined?
So individual assistance, it's the impact to the community. We look at economic impact. We look at how many events have impacted this county over the last couple of years. We look socioeconomic. We look at insurance rates. We look at a host of variables to to do that assessment and make that. But it's really about how did this impact those local residents, and what is that impact on them? That's what it's a lot of it is about.
Would it be good for the individual homeowner to contact their town official, or is it just
Well,
let them know the extent of damage?
if they have their home is damaged and the town official doesn't know about it, sure, they may help us go by and find one or two, or if they know a street that's heavily damaged. I'm sure most of the officials have gone out and driven their neighborhoods and know that, so that's where we're going to rely on those local officials to take us to where the most impacted areas are, and then show us as much damage as they can in the time that we have with them. And we'll stay as long as you need.
What about those who've cleaned up already, or in the process of cleaning up? Should you just take photographs then?
Of what?
Of damage?
Well, it's pretty obvious whether a home was damaged or not, and you can see if they're doing construction. Individuals, if they have the ability to start repairing a home, please start repairing the home. Start recovering. Start trying to get back to normal. Work with your first call should be for homeowners to your insurance. Get that process started. The insurance inspection is not the FEMA inspection. The FEMA inspection is not your insurance inspection. So they have to do both. They have to, work with us if you're declared, but most importantly, they should be working with their local insurance to get those things out.
Document the damage.
Document the damage. Take photos. Make sure they understand what was damaged and what you did to protect that, and understand your insurance policy.
One of the things we had extensive duration of outages for a significant portion of the county. Is there any food recovery piece put in? No.
That's insurance.
It's normally covered under some insurance. There are programs for that come with the individual assistance program if it's declared. It's part of it. They can turn it on for what do they call it? A disaster food assistance support, which is basically FEMA providing funds to the state, and they use the local. I'm not sure who does it in New York, but you go get your card from the social services, and there is some looking at income based on that, but it opens up the aperture for other folks, and for those that are on assistance, it opens up their they can potentially qualify for a little bit more for a one-time shot.
I think we're engaged in that right now.
Yeah, the USDA, I think.
Yeah,
that goes through USDA, but it's a grant FEMA gives to the state and work through.
Right. Those of our constituents who receive food stamps right now are being reimbursed for the month of October, and then they're given an additional stipend to help assist them with what they might have lost.
Yes, sir.
Kevin, we had massive trees come down in Carmel. I mean, huge, huge trees that our chipper that the highway department has can't possibly chip a tree up that's big unless they cut it up into small pieces. I'm talking about diameters that big. If the highway department was forced to rent a larger chipper, like a grinder, to get rid of the big trees.
So you're using your force account labor, using your local labor? I think to me, that's a reasonable cost to help remove the debris. So, but when your assessment folks are out there, if you do it, again, do what you have to do for your community, but keep those records, make sure that if you're doing contracts, that, you've got the sealed bids, you've got something. If it had to be an emergency purchase for something, make sure you showed some diligence that you used Yellow Pages search and online search, and you found the best deal available given the conditions to meet that need. And we'll do all those assessments when we are actually writing those projects to reimburse you if you're declared. But right now, make sure that the teams have those costs associated with that, because that can go as part of the estimate.
Because that's a specialized piece of equipment.
Oh, it is. It's very specialized.
And we'd like to begin that process sooner than later to get rid of some of this debris.
I agree with you. So maybe we'll talk offline afterwards, and we'll see if there's something we can do to get you a little bit more definitive answer on that.
Okay, thank you.
Seem to be all set. I do want to make notice that today's meeting is being videotaped. It will be rebroadcast on our county website. So if the local leaders, constituents want to replay or get additional or, share this information, feel free to access the website. We're going to try to do the best we can with the website as far as furthering information as it comes to us. The forms that will be utilized, we're going to try to put those up in PDF format so that they can be accessed. And all the phone numbers that were discussed earlier, we'll capture those. And as this recovery process continues to roll out, we'll continue to update the Putnam County website with all of that additional information.
One form that is going to be very important for y'all is your request for public assistance. Hopefully you all have had that before. We can find that and get that form for your website. But each potential applicant needs to have that. I would fill that out today because you got to have some specific numbers and points of contact so that if you are declared, boom, you're ahead of the ball game. You've got that form to be submitted to the state, wherever, however they do it here in New York.
I think we have that form already.
You might.
Tom Lannon forwarded, I think, about 3 days, probably early in the week, right, Bruce?
If you don't have it, we'll make sure that there's a copy available to the county.
We did forward as much as we had back out.
Labor,
No, this is a
That
form.
was the PDA form, Nancy. That was the property damage assessment
But
form.
this is your request for public assistance, which is infrastructure, not citizens.
Check the website, and we'll be putting them up as they are made available to us.
MaryEllen, can you disseminate that information via New York Alert also? Can you send that with all that?
I'll have our PIO, I'll have Joe DeMarzo.
Okay.
Can
Send
you
that out.
coordinate, help make sure if they need any forms?
Yeah,
We'll just call down to the IO for myself or the staff down there, and we'll get you the forms.
Tom and I will.
You're working with Tom Lannon directly with that, okay. And then we'll have
It'll all be on
the
the
public
website.
information officer push it through New York Alert, which I think New York Alert
Yes.
was
Very effective.
It was a great tool to utilize for the event. You know, knowing that once we went dark, it was going to be very hard to communicate. Mike?
Is there a follow-up program for places that we had to get generators for, that we can purchase or put in place permanent ones?
For FEMA to replace your generators?
Well, it's places that where we didn't have them, we had to rent them. Is there any program through FEMA or some other area where we could potentially go purchase permanent ones?
Yeah, the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, which has been granted statewide, that may be a possibility under that. That's a state-run program. You have to put, we'll have hazard mitigation experts available once we get the joint field office open. They can come work with you on those and help you develop projects to submit to the state for your hazard mitigation grant program. So there are potentials. Because it's a state-run program, I can't tell you whether they're eligible or not.
You're good?
I'm here if you need me to answer questions. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for your
very
team.
much.
Thank you, Kevin Reed.
We have
One
another-
emphasis, primary residence.
Yeah, individual assistance is, they're going to look for a number of primary residents, not secondary homes or vacation homes. But